Hey, welcome to Proper Horror Show. If the sun doesn't stop, I will die and be drier than the Crypt Keeper's martini. I'm Miss Cracker's co-host for today. So I am in no way the channel for timely coverage of the latest horror releases. I just can't do that. It's not in my wheelhouse at all. There are plenty of people that have got that completely covered for you. One of my favourites is Spooky Astronauts, and she has really got it covered. What I feel I can offer is bringing my personal analytical style and very shoddy rotoscoping to maybe get you a take on a film you like that you'd never considered before, show you that film in a completely new light. Or get you interested in a film that you'd have never even thought of watching. Like, I want people reaching for Necronomicon from 1993. No one needs me to hype the Conjuring 6, Annabelle Lives. I want to be there making a very low quality AMV that gets everyone watching Midnight Meat Train. What I've got for you today is 5 high quality horror recommendations that I think most horror fans wouldn't have heard of or wouldn't have considered watching. I know y'all miss the chickens. I know you missed them, so big chicken bonanza here. Massive chicken bonanza. So my first recommendation is one that would probably get written off for being too old. Dead of Night is a very atypical Ealing Studio release, and it came out in 1945. I'd say it's probably one of the great horrors of 1945, and okay, that's maybe some bad phrasing. Less facetiously, Dead of Night is a horror anthology and an incredibly influential one. The film is probably best known for the Hugo the Dummy section with Michael Redgrave's amazing performance, but as good as that is, I would not want that to overshadow some of the other really good stories in there. The first story, I think, is absolutely unforgettable. I am not going to spoil a word of it, but it is very effective for a very limited amount of screen time. And you might be skeptical about an Ealing horror film from 1945, but the Ealing Manners comedy vibe is in there, and it works to make a film that's actually very original and unsettling. I would say while it could have been tonally clashing, the 1945 culture actually just enhances the horror. If you never heard a chicken purr before, that was it. Dead of Night, 1945. You will not regret it. Second up, also an older film, is Ghost Story from 1981. Ghost Story from 1981 doesn't do what you expect. It's not where you expect it to be. It's got that sort of, what are you doing, step bro vibe to it, but classy. When you think of 80s horror, you would not think of Ghost Story. I first saw it mentioned on the In Search of Darkness documentary. Yes, sweetheart. I first saw it mentioned on the In Search of Darkness documentary, and when I saw that Fred Astaire was in a horror movie, I couldn't believe it. That was an instant watch for me. What's up, lovely? Fred Astaire, dance legend in a horror movie. I had to see it. That was a point of curiosity, but once I started watching, I did not regret it. It is not a perfect movie. I would change a heck of a lot, but I was fascinated the whole way through. It is effectively an old-style ghost story, but it does have those 80s touches, so the effects are absolutely amazing. And obviously I've mentioned Fred Astaire, who does an incredible job in a horror film. I would also be remiss if I didn't mention Alice Krige, who is just fantastic in this. She's so commanding. You probably know her best from The Borg Queen and her unforgettable role as a cult leader in the sadly much maligned and, I think, excellent Silent Hill movie. Third recommendation is very much a diamond in the rough. Hey, sweetheart. Final Destination 5. I would not blame you at all if you saw Final Destination 3 and 4 and just decided you never wanted to see another one of those movies again. But if you stopped then, you would miss what I think is the best movie in the whole series. You can't really complain that Final Destination 5 isn't original, because obviously it's a 5th one. It's not getting the first stab at the series trademark Death by Rube Goldberg machine motif. Although, of course, Final Destination was not the first film to do this. Never forget The Omen, folks. But Final Destination 5 does something that 3 and 4 did not. It goes back to taking the premise seriously. The director also came in, I think, having really mastered the trademark death scenes and their style, and he really does something amazing with it. I can't recommend it enough. You do not have to have seen 3 and 4 to love this movie. In fact, with no spoilers, you can go straight from Final Destination to Final Destination 5 and you will not miss out. Fourth recommendation is very much out of the box. There are no visuals. I am recommending a podcast, or a series of podcasts. It starts with the case of Charles Dexter Ward, and it is an adaptation of the classic H.P. Lovecraft story, Miss Cracker Departed. It starts with the case of Charles Dexter Ward, and it is a modernised adaptation of the H.P. Lovecraft stories told through the medium of a fake true crime podcast. The conceit works absolutely amazingly. They have made 2 seasons of this, the case of Charles Dexter Ward and also the Whisper in Darkness. Okay, the conceit falls through sometimes, but if you can forgive it for found footage movies, you can forgive it for this podcast. I was skeptical going in. I did not think a podcast could be scary. I was proved very wrong, and this got me hooked on Lovecraft. This got me reading him for the first time, and for that alone, I have to recommend it. They are doing a 3rd season very soon, which is an adaptation of the Shadow over Innsmouth, I believe. It's produced by a company for the BBC. You should not have trouble finding this. Highly recommended. For my last couple of recommendations before the camera completely runs out of battery, and I can pack. I said 5. I can package this up. This is a 2-for-1 here. You're lucky. You get a bonus with me. Final recommendation here. Obviously, I've been choosing something that's older than you might expect. I've chosen something fairly lesser known and anachronistic in Ghost Story. I've gone for something that was very much sort of lost in the swamp of sequels, but is possibly the best in the whole series. And I've gone for podcasts. The obvious thing I've got to recommend are foreign horror films. Happily nowadays, it is not that rare to watch a foreign horror movie. You know, after the J-horror and K-horror crazes, I'm probably not breaking much new ground here, but I'll give it a go, and I'll recommend T-horror. No, not that one. Thai horror. Shutter. There's a good chance you've heard of this. It was remade. Go back for the Thai original. What you're getting in addition to a really good story is just cultural insight you would not get anywhere. I mean, that makes it worth watching alone, is just seeing a complete different culture. You get the same thing when you watch some very old movies. Just the cultural insight alone keeps it so fascinating. This film was introduced to me by Thai friends, and it astounded me. It was not what I expected from Thailand at all. I was so impressed, and this film absolutely nails the ending. It's kind of... I'm probably going to cover it more in a breaking the rules of horror thing. So I'll just say, please watch Shutter. And also from abroad, I would recommend Oliver Hirschspiegel's Black Box. This is a horror/thriller adaptation of the Stanford Prison Experiment, which has been filmed, I believe, twice recently. This one is a little looser in its adaptation, and it pushes things a little more in the horror direction, to what I think is an absolutely amazing conclusion. It's a German production, and Hirschspiegel very wisely decides to build in some of his own cultural context into the film, and that just makes it a really rich horror experience that has a lot more emotional depth than you might expect. I really don't see many people talk about Black Box, but I found it absolutely unforgettable, and it is so worth your time if you can get a hold of it. That's all from me for this week. If you like what I do, please do subscribe. And, you know, fittingly enough, since I've been giving you recommendations this video, I would really like your recommendations for me. If there's something you'd really like me to review or something you'd like my opinion on, just let me know. I'm very open to it. As I've said many a time, I am an absolutely tiny channel and every new subscriber is an absolute delight, and sharing these videos around to friends really does help so much, and I really appreciate it. Something as simple as I found this weird English bint on YouTube who makes horror film reviews with chickens. Simple as. That's all from me for now. I am now going to attempt to treat some chickens. Cheers, y'all. Yes. Oh, also, Bagger's screen debut. Do you want to see The Conjuring 6? Do you think we got it? I think we got it.